For decades now, DC has not really acknowledged Bill Finger as the co-creator of Batman, instead giving full credit to Bob Kane. But it seems like this will change with the new Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice movie, in which he will finally receive co-creating credit, which seems pretty great after years of being ignored. But it's just, why was he ignored for so long?
From my understanding of everything that I've read, it's because that was the original agreement that Bob Kane
signed.
So Bob Kane came up with the idea for Batman. The idea for Batman was a direct answer to Superman, because Superman was selling so well, like 1938, 1939, started the whole genre of comic books, selling like crazy. And then they're like, well, we need an answer to this. And all the other publishers were coming up with an answer that was basically just like Superman. So then Bob Kane was like, oh, I'm going to do the exact opposite of Superman and create this guy named Batman. So he creates him, and then he calls in Bill Finger to help him write it. So Bob Kane was the artist, had a lot of the ideas for the character, but then Bill Finger came in and, here's what's amazing. Without Bill Finger, we don't have Gotham. We don't have Robin. Right? We don't have Joker. We don't have Catwoman. And without Bill Finger, he's not a detective. He's just a vigilante. Like, Bill Finger added all of those things in.
The things that make him as memorable and beloved to this day as he is, or his world, rather.
Yeah, but Bob Kane, when he was writing for Detective Comics, his agreement was, I came up with Batman, I get sole credit for it. Which in some ways was true, but unfortunately Bill Finger fleshed out the mythology and made Batman who he is.
I think that's a bit of a disservice. I mean, it should be based on characters created by, and then both of them.
Yes.
I mean, this isn't also the first time that we've seen this happen, where a movie didn't credit people who had previously been credited as creators of a character. I mean, we're looking at Stan Lee and then Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
I don't think this is really, or Ditko. And I don't think Stan Lee's the right person to blame, because I've seen people do that a lot, or is he?
You know, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't read any of his biographies or anything. I've read like the Marvel biography.
I read a response to Kirby not being credited on the Avengers.
Yeah.
This is from 2012, and he was like, well, it's not my call, pretty much.
Stan Lee?
Yes, so that it had been the studio's decision.
I do think that Stan Lee has since come out and said it's unfair that he hasn't been credited for the stuff. I don't know that he's pushed or made a campaign to get him credited, but he has, I believe he's come out and said, yeah, he should get credit, like he did. Because without Jack Kirby, you don't have like the Avengers, you don't have the Fantastic Four, you don't have, he helped create all those characters. And in comic books, you can't, like, one person can't really take sole credit for a character, because comic books are a collaborative art form. So if I'm like, hey, I want to come up with a guy named Dinosaur Man, and you're going to draw it, then you say, well, let's draw him like this, and we can do this. And oh, maybe he has this power or this power.
Or maybe he's not called Dinosaur Man.
Yeah, or maybe he's not called Dinosaur Man. Yeah, so we'll call him Dino Dude. And then I'm like, no, I don't want to call him Dino Dude, but then we land on Dino Dude because Kim Horcher wins. But,
legit.
It's a collaboration, so even though I had the original genesis of an idea, the character was created together. And that, Doctor Strange is always credited to Stan Lee, but Stan Lee has come out and said, I had nothing to do with Doctor Strange.
That's so weird. How do we forget about these people who worked so equally or beyond equally?
At the time, Stan Lee, like when he created the Fantastic Four, yes, he did that with Jack Kirby, but that was very much a brainchild of Stan Lee. And then his personality was so big, he became associated with Marvel Comics in a way that it was important for his name to be attached to everything.
Yeah,
because everyone was like, oh, I want to read a Stan Lee book. Like so people knew Jack Kirby, but they expected Stan Lee to be in control of the boat. So I think that's how it kind of like ran away from Ditko and Kirby.
Do you think this can be comparable to like a Jobs-Wozniak situation?
Probably. Yeah. Where one person gets all the credit. One of them is just like this
dynamic, charismatic guy, and people are like, oh, I want to attach to him.
Yeah, because Kirby wasn't dynamic in any way. Like he was very much like.
I mean, if we have to boil it down, Bill Finger and Jack Kirby, they didn't live as long as the other creators. So it's just like, did it just happen this way because of that?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is that as prolific as Jack Kirby was, like, I mean, he was doing like so many books. Like he did almost all the Marvel books at the beginning. Like Steve Ditko did a few titles, but Jack Kirby was doing so much more than he was even credited for. Like he was filling in artwork for other artists who weren't finishing on time. He was helping do layouts for artists who would just then go in and pencil over those. Like he was doing a lot more work than he was credited for. But Bill Finger was notoriously late on all of his drafts.
That doesn't mean you don't get credit.
It doesn't mean you don't get credit.
Partial credit if it's school rules.
I'm just saying, like, he absolutely deserves credit, and I'm not saying that in any way. I'm simply saying that the legacy of Jack Kirby is a little bit different from Bill Finger's because of how prolific Kirby was versus what Bill Finger was able to accomplish.
Yeah, it's not apples to apples. It's different people in different situations, for sure. Audience, what do you think of this discrepancy with Bill Finger, with Jack Kirby?
He deserves the credit. Like, deserves the credit. Like.
Were they done wrong? Let us know below in the comments, and please subscribe for more.